Also, if you had trouble with any of your assignments this week and you want to go back and fix them, I'm going to show you how to use Desmos to solve these today. What I told people in class is remember that you have to be able to do it by hand because you're going to have a calculator inactive part. But if you have your calculator active part, remember it's only like a third of the test. It's not a lot of the test that's calculator inactive. But if you have calculator active, you can use Desmos as much as you want to. You also will have maybe one of my pink calculators, but a calculator like that on your desk as well. So you can do both at the same time. And I'll show you why that is important in just a few minutes, okay? So the first thing that we're going to do is solve the equations by factoring. If you look, this splits it up, solve it by square roots. It tells you exactly what to use in quadratic formula. But again, on your test tomorrow, you can use Desmos all you want to. Does everybody understand that? It is full calculator active. Use what you can to get the right answer. So if we're doing it by factoring, we're going to do everything by hand, and then I'm going to show you Desmos, okay? So once you find Desmos out, it's going to be super easy, but you won't learn anything if I just show you Desmos. Got it? All right. So if we're going to solve by factoring, it's 3 terms. And remember, 3 terms for either doing cheater method or slide and divide. Since there's no number in front, this is cheater method. So I need factors of 20 that add to -9. I'm going to show you just a couple times how to do this just to refresh, but then after that, I'm just going to give you the factors if I know them. So we have 20 divide x, 20 divide x plus x. That's not good. And then I'm going to look in my table for -9. There's a +9. Let's find -9. There it is, -4 and -5. So that means your factors would be r minus 4 and r minus 5. So we did that a couple weeks ago. And then the new stuff was I just changed the sign. So it's a -4, so your answer is +4. It's a -5, so your answer is +5. That's it. Any questions? Number 2 is the exact same way. It's already equal to 0. Remember, we want it equal to 0. These are good to go. We need factors of the last, so factors of -2 that add to, and remember, use that sign, negative, and there's no number, so it's a 1, -1. We're going to use our calculator. Sorry, -2 that add to -1. There's our -1 at -2 and a +1. So our letter is P and a -2, P and a +1. So what are my 2 answers? 2 and -1. That's it, y'all. That's it. All right, so is everybody good with finding your factors in your calculator? I think we've been doing that for a while. We're pretty good. All right, so the next one, same thing. There's no number in front, so I'm doing cheater method. I need factors of 2 that add to -3. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you that those are 2 and -1. So my letter or my variable is x and a -2, x and a -1. So that means my 2 answers are +2 and +1. Now, I will tell you that those 3 will be faster if you just go ahead and do it by hand in your calculator like I just did. If you're putting it in Desmos, it'll just take a little longer. It's not bad, it'll just take longer. All right. So number 4, what's wrong with number 4? And I need to move it over. And where does it go? In the middle. And how do I move it? Yeah, just change the sign. So we get 2m squared. It goes in the middle and change the sign to positive. And then we have a +12. Only change the one that we move. Okay. Now this one's different because it's got a number in front. So we're going to do slide and divide. So we're going to slide this 2 over, and remember it's a multiply. I'm going to have n squared plus 11n plus 12 times 2 is 24. Now it's just like the others. I need factors of 24 that add to 11. The two numbers that you would find are 8 and 3. So our letter is n and a positive 8, n and a positive 3. But we did slide, so now we have to what? Divide by 2. And it's always by the number that you multiply by. So whatever the number is in front. Remember, I told you to put it in your calculator, math, enter. So 8 divided by 2, math, enter gives me 4. So this is actually n plus 4. So my answer is going to be -4. 3 over 2, math, enter does not change. So instead of a positive 3/2, my answer is going to be -3/2. That's it. So again, if you're doing slide and divide, don't forget the divide part. That would be the only part that I think you would mess up. Number 5 and 6, 7, all the same way. Right. So number 5, what do I need to do? And since it's k, it goes in the middle. So the way I move it, I leave 15k squared. I change the sign of the 44, and I leave the 32 alone. These are just going to be big numbers. Okay, we have a number in front, so we need to slide it to the back. I don't know these numbers either, so don't feel bad about having to use your calculator, okay? So 15 times 32 is 480. I need factors of that 480 that add to -44. I do not know those factors. I don't expect that you would either. So I'm gonna put it in my calculator, 480 divide x, 480 divide x plus x. I'm gonna check my table and I'm looking for -44. There's -101. Almost. There's -44. So -20 and -24. So our letter was K. We got a -20 and a -24. Last step is to divide. And we divide by that number in front. And I told you just do math, enter. And it does reduce to 4/3. It was a -4/3. So what is your answer going to be? +4/3. That's your first one. 24 over 15, math, enter. We get 8 over 5. It was a -8 over 5. So our answer is +8 over 5. Any questions? All right, look at your next one. You okay? Promise? No. Okay. Same thing on the next one. The 17 has to go over and it's going to go in the middle. So 3k squared is going to change to a +17k, leave the 24. Since we have a number in front, we're going to slide it to the back. We get k squared plus 17k. 24 times 3 is 72. I need factors of 72 that add to 17. I already know these. I'm going to go ahead and tell you. that they are 8 and 9. Again, if you have to use your calculator, use it. But I don't promise when you get to Desmos, you're probably going to stop using your calculator altogether. Is everybody good? So our letter is K and a positive 8, K and a positive 9, but I need to remember to divide. So I moved a 3 in the beginning. Put that first one in, 8 over 3. Math, enter, gives me 8 over 3. It didn't change. So my answer is going to be negative 8 over 3. Nine over 3, math, enter, gives me a positive 3. So my answer is going to be negative 3. Okay, you gonna make it? You sure? All right up to that. I like it. Oh, wow. I'm gonna probably look that way too. Okay. I don't think you do. Oh yeah, I mean I could see Monday. Today's like a little Monday. Everybody good? All right, look at your next one. It's the same exact thing, except for I already have a V here. So I want to get it to the other side. I want to move that 2 to the other side, but I want to put it together with that 5V. So I didn't do anything with the V squared. Negative 5 minus 2 is a negative 7, and then a plus 12. The good thing about this one is it's cheater method, so it's less work. I need factors of 12 that add to negative 7. Those are negative 4 and negative 3. So my letter is a V, a negative 4, a V, and a negative 3. So what are my two answers? Positive 4 and positive 3. That's it. All right, so the next one is kind of crazy. If you look your M squared over here, both of them are negative, but this one is the smallest one. I've already told you to move the smallest one all the time. I can tell you that all the time. So we're actually going to move everything on this side over here, okay? So we're going to start with adding to M squared. I'm going to do this all at one time so you guys can see it. And I'm going to add it to like terms. So this one will cancel out. We don't have this on that side anymore. Negative 1 plus 2 is 1M squared. Everybody okay so far with that? All right. I also need to move this negative 7M. The way that I'm going to move it is to add 7M. Guys and girls. Negative 6 plus 7 is 1M. So those cancel out. The last thing I have left is the 12 on this side. How do I move it to the other side? Just change the sign. So minus 12 equals 0. You can do all that in one step. Any questions? Okay. If you ended up with a negative in front, it's still going to work. You'll be fine. Okay. So now, because I don't have a number in front, this is cheater method. I need factors of negative 12 that add to 1, positive 1. Those factors would be 4 and negative 3. So my letter is M. One of my factors is a positive 4. My letter is M. The other factor is negative 3. So then what are your two answers? Negative 4 and positive 3. Positive 3, because it was a minus 3 here. Just remember to change the sign. All right. Any questions on the front page? We just have a couple more of these, and then we have square roots, and then we have quadratic formulas. I need y'all to stop talking, please. Thank you. Come on. All right. Last one of these, we need to move everything to the other side. So I need to move the 2, and I need to move the 6. So remember to move it, we change the sign. So a negative 2b, and I'm going to line it up. That'll cancel that out. I need to move the negative 6. So I'll add it over, and that'll cancel that out. I didn't do anything with the b squared. I'm just going to write it down. Negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5b. And then negative 30 plus 6 is negative 24. Because there's nothing in front of b squared, this is a cheater method. I need factors of negative 24. That adds a negative 5. Again, you find those in your calculator, and they are negative 8 and positive 3. So my letter is B and a negative 8, B and a positive 3. I did not do slide and divide, so my answers are right there in front of me. What are my 2 answers? Positive 8 and negative 3. Perfect. All right, remember again, all of that was factoring. I'm going to show you how to do it on Desmos. So if you're getting it by factoring, you're good to go, okay? Desmos just makes it that much easier. Very good. All right, by square roots, remember we do square roots when there's no x term. Meaning there's not that middle one, so there's no 5b. So if you look, that's just p squared. There's no single p in there at all, okay? So the way we do this is go ahead and move everything away from that p squared. So I'm solving for p squared, what's on the same side but not with it. How do I get rid of the negative 8? Add 8. So I get 7p squared equals 441. I need to get rid of the 7. How do I get rid of the 7? Divide by 7. And I can use my calculator for that because you probably don't know what it is, and that's fine because I don't either. I get 63. All right, last step. How do I get rid of this little bitty square, this 2? Not dividing. Nope. Draw it. Yeah, I have people call it little checky box. The square root is a radical. So we take the square root. Okay. If I try that in my calculator, I get a decimal. Does everybody see that ugly decimal? So this may break down and it may not. So we're going to try 63. I don't need this at all. My factors of 63. Let's see if I can make this. You guys can see it a little more. Here we go. 1 and 63, 3 and 21. So if I use this over here, I have 3 and 21. 3 won't break down, so I'm just going to bring it down. 21 breaks into 3 and 7. So what do you notice? 2 3s. So that comes outside. What I didn't circle stays inside. Remember, there's a positive and a negative. So your final answer is positive negative 3 square root 7. Please remember that there are 2 answers. The next one is easier. I need to solve for p squared. What's on the same side but not with it? How do I get rid of the minus 10? Add 10 to both sides. I get 49 p squared equals 49. Same exact steps. How do I get rid of this 49? Divide by 49. 49 divided by 49 is 1. How do I get rid of the little square? I take the square root. I always want to try it on my calculator first to see if it works. And this one does, but I need to remember there's always two answers. So positive, negative, 1. How do I solve number 12? Subtract the 2. We get 3x squared equals 186. What do I do next? Same exact steps, nothing different. Before that, divide by 3. I get x squared equals 62. I'm going to try that in my calculator, but I get a decimal, so that's not good. So I'm going to try to break it down over here. I have 2 and 31. If you need to put it back in there for the 31, I'm going to tell you it doesn't have any factors. So does this have any pairs? No. So square root plus or minus square root of 62. It does not do anything. So we had one that broke down, one that was perfect, and one that did nothing. We have an example of all of them. All right. 13, 14, and 15 are what we've done the last 2 days. It's quadratic formula. Quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now, you guys did really good with this formula until it had some negatives under there. We don't teach that. Okay, that'll be math 2 or math 3. So don't stress out. Don't worry about that. You guys can go back and fix that quiz. You definitely did yesterday. Do you know if yesterday's had any I's in it? I don't think we tried to keep them out of there. Okay, so yesterday's is the one that I'm more concerned about. Tuesdays, just complete it. Okay, so if you complete it, finish it, regardless of what answer you get or what number you get, I will give you 100. Okay, but yesterday's needs to be like an actual grade. All right, so here's how it works. I'm going to start with 14 just because it has all the numbers in there. We have A, B, and C. So this says negative B, so we're going to change the sign. Right now our B is negative 8. So we're going to change it to positive 8. Plus or minus. Big fat square root. B squared. And remember I told you to keep this positive no matter what it is. Just always positive. Minus 4 times A is 6 in our problem. Times C is negative 40. Watch those signs and make sure you put the signs in. All over 2 times A is 6. Remember, we do what's underneath first. So I'll put that in my calculator. 8 squared minus 4 times times 6 times negative 40 gives me 1024. And 2 times 6 on the bottom is 12. I want to see if I can take that square root of 1024. If I can, then I don't have as much work to do. That's 32. And then remember, I split it up. I split it up into 8 plus 32 over 12 and 8 minus 32 over 12. I told y'all the easiest way to do this is alpha y equals and plug it in. On the top is 8 plus 32 and on the bottom is 12. That way it gives you the fraction. 10 over 3 is your first answer because your answers will be in fractions. They will not be in decimals on your test. They are multiple choice, okay, but they will not be in decimals. The next one, again, alpha y equals 8 minus 32 over 12 is negative 2. The good thing is all the other ones are solved for 0, so you're still doing an A, B, and C. The only difference is some of these don't have numbers. Remember, when they don't have numbers, it's a 1. Okay, it's a 1. So on this one, A is 2, B is negative 1, and C is negative 36. So there's your formula up in the corner. X equals. Right now, B is negative 1. It says change the sign, so it's going to turn into what? Positive 1. Plus or minus, big fat square root. What was B again? 1 squared. Minus 4 times A is 2. C is negative 36. All over 2 times A is 2. Do what's under your radical first. 1 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 36. Gives us 289, and 2 times 2 is 4. We want to see if that square root will work. This one does again. So we get 1 plus or minus 17 over 4. When you get a whole number, you're going to split it into 1 plus 17 over 4 and 1 minus 17 over 4. I put it into alpha y equals 1 plus 17 over 4 is 9 over 2. It will reduce it for you, so it makes it really nice. And then same thing, alpha y equals 1 minus 17 over 4 gives us negative 4. You will again learn quadratic next year and the year after, and next year they'll include those i's in there. And it's real simple, okay? It's real simple. Last one, very last one, and then I'll show you Desmos, okay? We have r squared minus 7r plus 9. We need to change the sign of b, so what's going to go in the front? A positive 7. Plus or minus, big fat square root, 7 squared. Minus 4 times a is 1, because it is 1r squared. C is your last number, which is 9. All over 2 times a, or 1 again. Put that in your calculator. 7 squared minus 4 times 1 times 9 gives you 13. 2 times 1 is 2. Will 13 break down? No, it's just plain 13. 1 and 13 are only factors. There's no pairs. This is as good as it's going to get. That's the answer that you're going to see. All right. So what I'm going to do is actually go back to the beginning, and I'm not going to do every problem, but I'm going to show you every type of problem on Desmos. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. I'm going to open Desmos. And we're going to go back to the very beginning. And if you'll just go to number 1 on your sheet, That's what I'm doing. It has r squared, but I'm going to put in x's. So x squared minus 9x plus 20 was number 1, and it was equal to 0. If you put that in, it makes these two vertical lines. If you look at where those lines cross, 4 and 5 were our two answers. Yep, y'all see what I'm saying? That's why I didn't teach you Desmos, because you would never learn anything else. But do you know how to do it by hand? On your test, use Desmos. I'm going to show you again. I'm going to show you number 4 because it's a fraction, okay? So number 4, we already know is going to have a fraction. So I'm going to show you how to put it in. It also is not equal to 0, which is fine. So 2x, always use x instead of your other variable. 2x squared plus 12 equals negative 11x. You see your two lines? At negative 4, that was one of ours. And then this one says negative 1.5. Your test is probably going to have a fraction. So if it's a good decimal like this, you can put it in negative 1.5, math, enter. And if you guys look, it'll give you that fraction. Does that make sense? Otherwise, check out which one has, what was our other answer? Check out which answer has a negative 4, mark the other ones out, and then put those fractions in. So what I'm saying is, I'll switch it back so you guys can see this. All right, let me switch my share for a second. So like if these were your choices, 0 and negative 4, negative 4 and negative 3/2, 0, 6, 0, 2. We know it's not going to be these two, so I'd mark them out. I know it's not this one because it's not a fraction or a decimal. Does that make sense? So, but if they both had fractions, just type that fraction in and see if it matches the decimal that was on Desmos. Okay, and if you have that question tomorrow, just ask. All right, so let me show you some more Desmos. Let's look at number 5 was one of those that had all fractions. So 15, always use x squared plus 32 equals 44x. You guys see 1.33. So we know it's a positive. Both of them are positive. So mark out any negative answers and then put your fractions into your calculator and see which ones are right. Okay. Any questions on that one? All right, so I'm going to flip it over. Even number 8, where it's got a million different things, as long as you put x in there, it's going to show you the two answers. So I'm going to flip it over and show you the square roots. So our first square root was 7x squared. It was a p, but we always put x. Minus 8 equals 433. Our answers were 8 and negative 3. What's different about this? But where's this one at? Y'all see how this one is weird? Did I put the right number at 7p? Yep, 7x squared equals 433. We got positive 3 square root 7 and negative 3 square root 7. You guys see that? So there was one positive, one negative. So if you put it in your calculator, put your answer choices in your calculator and literally type in 3 square root 7, you'll see that decimal that's on your Desmos. Okay, so like this, 3, let's see if I can do it right here. Square root 7. There you go. Gives me 7.9. So you can do it from right here. You don't have to do it. You don't even have to do it on this calculator. I just like to do it quickly on this one. I'm faster at this than I am Desmos, so the one on my computer. So everybody got that? So type in your answers and see which one matches. And then the last ones that I want to look at, like 15 is going to give you one of those decimals. You just have to plug it into your calculator. I'll do that one and show you what I'm talking about. 15 was r squared, so we're going to use x squared minus 7x plus 9 equals 0. And we got these crazy numbers, 1.697 and 5.303. So you would put your multiple choice answers in here. So one of those answers would be 7 plus square root 13. See how I'm putting it in? Not that way. This is where your other calculator is better. Divided by 2. There's that decimal right there. Does everybody see it? So just type your answer choices in to get your decimals. So you can use Desmos for the entire test tomorrow. Got it? Is everybody good? All right. So I'm going to stop sharing, stop recording.